One plant carries more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach, and more vitamin A than nearly anything in the USDA database. The FDA classifies it as safe for human consumption. For 5,000 years, civilizations used it as medicine. Today, Americans spend $2.4 billion a year to poison it. The question is not whether this free medicine works. It is who decided you should never know. A single cup of dandelion greens delivers more calcium than the same amount of milk, about 103 milligrams per serving, compared to 76 milligrams in milk. The iron content is no less impressive, 1.5 milligrams per cup, easily outpacing lettuce and even matching spinach, a vegetable famous for its iron. Vitamin A stands out at over 3,200 international units per serving, and vitamin K soars to 430 micrograms, dwarfing most supermarket greens. Even omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids appear in measurable quantities, rare for a plant that grows wild in sidewalk cracks. USDA Food Data Central lists these numbers alongside a total antioxidant value that puts dandelion just below blueberries, the darling of so-called superfoods. Despite this nutritional profile, the FDA quietly classifies dandelion as generally recognized as safe for food and supplement use, a legal green light for consumption. Yet, in the world of lawn care, the same plant is labeled a primary broadleaf weed, targeted by billions of dollars in herbicide sales each year. This regulatory paradox is hard to ignore. A plant officially approved for your plate is simultaneously the chief target for chemical eradication. As one nutrition scientist puts it, there is no other wild green in the USDA database with this density of micronutrients, and yet most Americans are told to destroy it. In 659 AD, the Tang Benchao, China's imperial pharmacopoeia, recorded dandelion under the name Pu Gong Ying, describing how to dry, grind, and prescribe it for jaundice and inflammation. This was not a local curiosity. Over the centuries, dandelion's reputation as a healing plant crossed continents and cultures. In North America, ethnobotanical surveys identify 29 distinct uses among indigenous peoples. The Ojibwe boiled young leaves for iron-rich soups and roasted roots for a caffeine-free coffee, while the Lakota chewed fresh greens for toothache relief. The Navajo harvested the whole plant each spring for blood-cleansing teas. Early European medicine drew on the same plant. Medieval herbals like Herba urinaria and La Grande Herbe recommended dandelion for dropsy and liver weakness, and its bright yellow flower earned it a place in spring tonics believed to restore vitality after winter. During World War II, as food shortages gripped Britain, the Ministry of Food urged citizens to gather wild greens, including dandelion, for vitamin-rich soups. Pamphlets from 1942 and nutrition reports from 1944 singled out dandelion as a source of vitamin A and iron, essential when fresh produce was rationed. Even in the 19th century, American and English seed catalogs marketed cultivated dandelion as both an edible and ornamental, with packets and growing tips for kitchen gardens. Across eras and continents, dandelion's value was not questioned. It was gathered, prescribed, and even planted on purpose. In the years after World War II, chemical manufacturers faced a new challenge: how to repurpose the vast factories and research teams built for wartime production. By 1946, companies like Monsanto and Dow were converting munitions plants to churn out fertilizers and synthetic herbicides. Scott's, a name now synonymous with suburban lawns, joined the race. Internal memos from 1953 preserved in corporate archives reveal a clear directive: target the suburban homeowner, promote the removal of persistent yellow heads, and sell 2,4-D as the answer to the dandelion problem. Advertising from the 1950s and 60s hammered this message home. Full-color spreads showed perfect uniform lawns, no yellow flowers in sight. Television spots ran during Saturday morning cartoons, demonstrating how a single spray could wipe out dandelions while leaving the grass untouched. Market analysts tracked the results. By the early 1970s, annual herbicide sales for lawns and gardens in the U.S. soared to over $2 billion, with broadleaf weed killers accounting for nearly half that figure. Glyphosate, later branded as Roundup, entered the market in 1974. While its early patents described a broad-spectrum weed killer, not a dandelion-specific formula, later marketing positioned it as the final solution for the enemy in the lawn. EPA data from 2022 shows that nearly a third of residential glyphosate applications target dandelion and similar species. The machinery of advertising, product development, and regulatory lobbying worked in concert, transforming a once valued food and medicine into a public nuisance. The scale of this rebranding effort is measured not just in dollars spent, but in the near erasure of the dandelion's reputation from American memory. Lab benches in Canada, Germany, and South Korea have tested dandelion extracts on cancer cells, liver enzymes, and gut bacteria, often with results that never make it into mainstream health news. In 2011, a University of Windsor team exposed human leukemia cells to dandelion leaf extract. At just 120 micrograms per milliliter, half the cancer cells self-destructed, a process called apoptosis. Healthy cells survived the treatment. The study, funded by university grants and peer-reviewed, reported activation of caspase-3, a key enzyme in programmed cell death. Other research has zeroed in on taraxacin, a bitter compound found in dandelion roots and leaves. When added to liver cell cultures, taraxacin triggers the body's own detoxification machinery, upregulating glutathione S-transferase and related enzymes. This effect hints at a mechanism behind centuries-old claims of liver support, though most evidence remains at the cellular level. Human trials have begun to explore what dandelion does inside the body. In 2021, in a crossover study, volunteers took 5 grams of dandelion root inulin daily. After 4 weeks, their gut microbiome showed a 23% rise in bifidobacteria, beneficial bacteria tied to immune and metabolic health. Small clinical trials in Europe and Asia have tested dandelion leaf tea on cholesterol and blood sugar. 2 cups a day for 8 weeks led to a 9% drop in LDL cholesterol and a 0.4% reduction in HbA1c, a marker of long-term glucose control. These studies, while promising, often receive funding from supplement companies, and most have not yet been replicated on a large scale. A biochemist at the University of Manitoba puts it plainly: we are only scratching the surface. The pharmaceutical industry is not interested in a plant you cannot patent, but the data keep coming. A wild dandelion growing in a vacant lot is open to anyone, but that same fact makes it almost invisible to the market. U.S. patent law draws a hard line. A naturally occurring plant, unmodified and unprocessed, cannot be owned. There is no exclusive right to sell dandelion greens or roots, no trade secret to protect, no way to corner the supply. The plant remains in the public domain, as free as the air. For the chemical industry, this was a dead end. While companies could patent a synthetic herbicide or a proprietary blend, they could not patent the dandelion itself. Instead, the business model turned to eradication. Herbicide application costs about 5 cents per square meter, less than half the projected retail value of a harvested dandelion crop. But the economics tip in favor of chemicals. Herbicide sales are repeat purchases, guaranteed by a cultural promise of weed-free lawns. Meanwhile, the global herbal supplement market exceeds $200 billion, with liver support products like milk thistle selling for $12 to $25 per bottle. Dandelion is present in these blends, yet its share is tiny and mostly limited to processed extracts. The price of a bottle reflects the cost of branding, packaging, and distribution, not the plant itself. The real profit lies in what can be patented and sold, not what grows for free at our feet. The result is a system where a nutrient-rich food is sidelined not by lack of value, but by lack of ownership. In southern Italy, a Puglian cook blanches dandelion leaves, tossing them with garlic and oil for cicoria, a dish unchanged for generations. Each spring, she gathers young greens from the same fields her grandmother once walked, where dandelion is cherished for its flavor and place in the seasonal diet. Across the Atlantic, an Ojibwe elder simmers dried roots into a decoction rooted in tribal oral history. The tea, earthy and restorative, is still taught to younger generations, linking them to knowledge older than modern medicine. In Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, Amish families gather dandelion greens as soon as the snow recedes. Food waste surveys show 78% of Amish households use dandelion in salads or soups at least monthly. Children learn to spot the first shoots, while elders save seeds each fall, a cycle of teaching that endures outside commercial agriculture. In city parks, urban foragers collect dandelion from vacant lots. For Mediterranean immigrants, gathering and saving seed heads each October keeps heritage alive, turning backyard pots into reminders of home. Meanwhile, agronomists at Bridgestone and Continental cultivate Russian dandelion for its roots. which yield enough natural rubber to rival traditional sources. Field trials in Kazakhstan confirm its promise where other crops fail. Ecologists note dandelion's early blooms feed pollinators, with EPA studies showing their nectar supports spring bee populations in soil surveys, revealing richer fungal communities where dandelion grows. For those who keep these traditions, dandelion is a thread of continuity and a promise that some knowledge survives, even as the world changes. Today, the world spends over $2 billion each year to erase a plant the FDA certifies as safe, and that new clinical trials continue to study for cancer, cholesterol, and diabetes. The true cost isn't just financial, it is the quiet loss of knowledge hidden in plain sight.